Tim, I hope you celebrated Happy Dog Day today.
Yes, every day is dog day in our house.
Okay, we are ready to go. So if you want to get the meeting minutes and read the paragraph out of the way, then I will let Brian in.
All right, sounds good. Just let us know when we're good to go.
Okay, yeah, you're good to go right now. So I'm gonna get out of here, but I'll still be here if you need me.
Okay, great. Thank you, John.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks very much.
Good evening. This is tonight's interview subcommittee meeting, August 26, 2020. Just one quick note. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law C 330A, Chapter 18, and Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. This meeting will be live streamed, but will have no option for public participation.
Okay, first order of business is the acceptance of the meeting minutes of February 24th, 2020. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the meetings from February 24th.
I second that. Motion to approve.
I will recuse myself. I was not a member of the committee at that point.
Okay, Leslie Wachan approves and Tim Kalin is recusing himself from that, abstaining. Okay. So we're on to our interviews for the various boards and committees this evening. First up is the Conservation Commission, for which we have one vacancy. And I'd like to welcome Greg Young, who is the chair. Welcome. And the first person that we will be interviewing this evening is Brian Belfer.
Brian with us? Here he is. Hey, Brian, it's still, you're showing on mute. There you go.
Great. Hi, Brian.
Good evening.
Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Not too bad. How are we?
Good.
Leslie Wachan, Board of Selectmen, and Tim Kalin, Board of Selectmen as well. And then Greg Young, the chair of the committee, Conservation Commission. Good evening. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
We've received your information, and first thing we'd like to do is ask Greg if he would like to go over what this particular commission does and what it entails.
Sure. Hey, Brian, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. I mean, the scope of the CONCOM is really, it's really protection of the Wetlands Protection Act, implementation of that, which includes various types of wetlands, bodies of water, lakes, ponds, streams, implementing that, and it involves, we meet once a month, and then we have site walks once a month prior to that. Occasionally, we meet more than once a month. We've had instances where we've had to either had a very full agenda, mostly after the April-May timeframe, or we've had a situation where we've had to, for purposes of the applicant, we've had to do a special meeting for them to make some certain dates and times on that. We meet on Mondays, and we tend to site walk Thursday or Friday the week prior on that, usually in the morning. So hopefully your schedule would work around that. We got a pretty good balance, I think, our mix on the current commission. We have of the 6 members, we've got an attorney who's an environmental, a land attorney. We have a civil engineer, and we have
Right now I have lots of free time.
I don't know what that was.
There was a delay there, Brian.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My connection just got a little sketchy.
Are we good now?
I think we're good now.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's better.
I was outlining the makeup we have in the commission now. Did you get any of that?
I'm sorry. I only got a little bit of it. If you could,
Okay.
if you could
It's a
repeat
pretty
that,
good
I'd
mix,
appreciate
right?
it.
So we have, of the 6 seats we have occupied, we've got a civil engineer. They bring a certain thing to the table. We have an attorney who specializes in Land management and environmental issues, that's obvious. We've got an environmental construction manager, that's also pretty good. We've got a couple of citizens like myself that have interest in conservation. And then we have a person who's been schooled in that. It's a pretty good balance. And I think that one of the things that the commission has done, at least in the last, since I've been on it, is they've really tried to strike a balance between pure implementation of what the regs say, balance that against what the rights of the property owner is or are. So we try and get something in the middle there, which is, I think, the right way to go. So that's kind of what they were all about on that. You've been to a couple of meetings. You know how that works.
Yeah, I've been to a couple, kind of, you know, seen the process a little bit.
With your work on Mount Pisgah. So, yes.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of that. For some reason, my connection has gotten terrible.
I know you've been in the meetings with some of your work on the trails around Edmonds Hill and Mount Pisgah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. Actually, what I'd like to ask too is, Brian, what would you feel are the best qualities that you have that would add to this particular commission?
Well, I think I'm just really interested in, you know, taking a more active role in the conservation that's going on around town. As far as, you know, I don't have the same qualifications, certainly, that lots of the other members or candidates might have. But, you know, I've been working on the Trails Committee, been working with the Open Space Committee. I'm just really interested in trying to, you know, just be more present and participate more in, you know, like the development around town, like to try to be involved with finding the right balance between residential and open space and the businesses that want to build stuff. Yeah.
Uh-oh. It's actually out there.
Part of that.
Yikes. I missed a little bit of that. I think the connection.
Yeah, we lost you.
He
Am
looks
I
frozen.
lagging or?
I think you have frozen, but I missed like the
Did
last
I
15
freeze?
seconds of what you
Yeah.
Oh, but your audio is pretty good right now.
said. Now I can see the laugh. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, like what you do and just a little bit more about you?
I'm sorry, my connection has gotten really terrible. Let me try, if you guys can give me 1 minute, I'm gonna try to disconnect and see if I can get a better connection. Bear with me for a second.
Okay.
Always the remote meetings.
Yeah.
Become a way of life. Right?
Absolutely.
Should we move on to the next one, or you want to give them a couple minutes?
I would say give him another minute or
Okay.
so.
We do have the next two are in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Trying to reconnect, I think.
No, we're running a little late.
I just don't want to feel like he didn't have any closure here.
Yeah.
That's better. Can you
Yep.
hear us, Brian?
I can hear.
Okay.
No.
Looks like it's a little sketchy still.
Unmute myself. It seems better.
Okay.
We were doing video calls earlier today and I didn't seem to have any issues.
Is there anything else you'd just like to add about yourself, and also whether or not would you be able to attend the meetings, attend the walkthroughs, and I don't know. Greg, how long did you say the meetings are typically?
Oh, it varies. Sometimes we think they're going to be an hour, they're 3. Sometimes we think they're going to be 3 hours, they're 1. But on the average, a couple of hours usually from, 7 to 9,
Okay,
9:30.
okay. Brian, is there anything else you'd like to add?
For meetings isn't a problem. I mean, Trails does Mondays, but that's generally not an issue. And then sidewalks, right now I have lots of work from home time from work. So sidewalks as of right now are not an issue. I can't really promise where I'll be remote versus office time in another 6 months. But that's kind
Okay,
of nature where things are. I have an excessive amount of free time right now. So,
okay, okay.
as far as other things, in what's going on around town, I don't know. I'm not sure if any of that got through.
Yeah, some of that got through. I mean, do you have any questions for me specifically?
Brian, do you have any additional questions for Greg?
I think we lost him.
Yeah.
Oh, you
looks
lost me
frozen.
again?
Here he is. Oh, now he's back.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm not sure what's going on with my internet right now.
Beyond your control. Any questions for me, Brian?
I don't think so. I am sort of curious. I guess I just want to make sure that part of why, I put in the application is because I just want to make sure that you guys have a suitable number of people to choose from. Because I know that sometimes on the town commissions, it seems like people are struggling to fill the slots.
Very true, very true.
Yeah.
So honestly, like even, that's part of the reason I just want to make sure that as the commission that you've got, people to look towards. So that's all I wanted to add. So, if you wind up going with someone who's like totally a professional environmentalist, that's totally fine. So
We appreciate that. It's a very generous way of thinking.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
thanks.
Thank you. I just want to add that, thank you very
Absolutely.
much. We will be deliberating at the end, and I just want to say that if you are selected,
Thanks very much.
sworn in by the town clerk prior to the first meeting.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last part?
Yeah. We'll be deliberating at the end of our meeting tonight, and you're one of 4 candidates for this. And if you are selected, you would need to be sworn in by the town clerk prior to the next meeting that you attend.
Sure
So,
thing.
but I wanted to thank you very much for volunteering to come in and be interviewed for this position. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thanks.
And Brian, thanks for your work on the other committees that you're part of too.
Yes.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Brian.
Thanks.
Take care.
Okay, so next up, we have Dan Clark.
Okay.
Anything before we get started with Dan?
This part.
No,
is
I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so he's coming right in.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Dan, you're muted.
Hi,
Not anymore.
Hi, Dan.
how are you?
Hi, Dan. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I'm Leslie Rattan, Board of Selectmen, and Tim Kalen, Board of Selectmen, and Greg Young, who is the chair of the Conservation Committee, are here this evening. Thank you very much for putting your application in and agreeing to be interviewed tonight. We appreciate that very much.
Sure, no, I'm looking forward to it, so great.
Thank you. First thing we'd like to do is have Greg, if you would like to explain the purpose of this commission and what exactly it does, and talk about the meeting and length of meetings, when they meet, and so forth.
Sure. And Dan, you probably know, this is probably some old information for you, but you know, the Conservation Commission, we really focus on the Wetlands Protection Act enforcement in town, which includes various bodies of water, wetlands, rivers, streams, lakes, ponds, all of that. We meet on Mondays. Right now it's the third Monday of the month. We may be moving that based on some selectmen scheduling coming out. And we have site walks. We have site walks usually the Thursday or Friday prior to the meeting date, in the morning most of the time. Current mix we have right now in the Conservation Commission, I think is pretty good. It's a pretty good balance. We have an attorney who specializes in environmental affairs and land management. We have a civil engineer. We have a environmental contractor among specialists, and we have several interested citizens like myself that have a concern on conservation and want to get involved. Right now, I think since I've been on the commission, it's been a pretty good balance in how the commission operates. You know, we seem to find the middle ground between what an applicant might want to do with their properties and what the Wetland Protection Act says can be done jurisdictionally. We try and find a balance between those two things on that. And that's the overview. And you're pretty familiar. You've been involved in some meetings, I think, around the lakes and the ponds and so forth. So,
Right. Yep. On occasion. Yep.
good.
Dan, we've read your information, and I'd just like to see if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself. Obviously, this meeting is being live streamed, so people can't see the application. So if there's things you'd like to say about yourself and what you feel you could add to this commission.
Sure. So I have a real passion for the environment and natural resources. So much so I made a career out of it. So I actually currently work for the state, for the Department of Conservation and Recreation, the Division of Water Supply Protection. So my current role, I'm the regional director for Quabbin and the Ware River watersheds. So our agency is responsible for Boston's drinking water supply. So we do a lot of natural resource management, but always in the context of watershed protection. So that intersection of water and activities is something I deal with all the time. So I think probably my strengths would be to bring sort of a professional perspective to natural resource management. I also, in my role, administer the Watershed Protection Act, which is similar to the Wetlands Protection Act. It's not exactly the same, but basically development within the watersheds, depending on where they are in relation to map tributaries. Private landowners have to come before me, and sometimes they'll ask for a variance or get a ruling on what activities might be allowed or might not be allowed. So I am familiar with sort of implementing regulations, particularly related to resource protection and water and development and that sort of stuff. So I think that'll help me get up to speed, I guess. I don't deal directly a lot with the Wetlands Protection Act. I'm certainly familiar with it, but so I think, I'd like to continue my role in the town. I've been on the Open Space Committee actually, I'm not sure how long I've been on the Open Space Committee. I was thinking about that the other day, probably 8 or 10 years, I'm guessing. And it's been a great opportunity. And as Greg mentioned, there are occasional intersections between the open space and the Conservation Commission. So I am generally aware of what's going on. So I think this is a unique opportunity. I think I could bring some good skill sets to the board. So it's a quick summary of what I'm up to, I guess.
Hey, Dan, like Leslie said, the public can't see your application. Can you just do just a summary of your educational background? I thought that was impressive.
Sure. So I have, I'm formally trained as a wildlife biologist. So I have an undergraduate degree from UMass Amherst in wildlife biology. I went and got my master's degree in wildlife biology. They call it wildlife ecology, biology. It's all basically the same thing. Right after I finished my undergraduate, I went to Missouri, University of Missouri, and got my master's. Then I worked. I came here to Massachusetts, got a job with the state, and worked for many years. And more recently, there was an opportunity to go back to UMass and get my PhD. So I did that, sort of combining aspects of my job and developed that into a dissertation. So in 2013, I got my PhD in, it's called environmental conservation is the name of the department at UMass. So again, I spent a lot of time thinking about and professionally engaged in sort of natural resources and natural resource management. So.
And did you ever have the opportunity to have Scott Jackson as a professor?
I took several classes with Scott Jackson. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I go to the MAC conference, whenever he's teaching the seminar, I try and get to that one.
Yeah, he's a fantastic speaker. Absolutely fantastic speaker. He's still at UMass. I mean, I had him as an undergraduate in like 1989, and he's still there. You think I'm surprised that you think he would have been retired by now, but I think same thing. He loves I know he's really passionate about it too. So.
You think he lives in Southwest?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where he lives, but yeah.
That's great. Great background. Do you have any questions for Greg or for us? And does the potential meeting actually, Greg mentioned the fact that the meeting could change because the Zooms would overlap with the Selectmen meetings if they wanted to be at both are streamed live. Is that what you're saying, Greg?
Yeah, I know that we've got a Monday booked in September, the 21st, and then we discussed some dates October out. I think Mia was trying to sync up with your schedule on Zoom, licensing and timing and IS support and so forth.
Hadn't thought about that, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the monthly meetings, assume they're in the evening. So I don't have any issue with that. I guess I do have some question about the site visits. So I'm still going into the office most every day. Out in Belchertown is where my office is located. So you had indicated Thursday, Friday mornings was your typical site visits. Are there other opportunities to see these sites? I mean, if I am committed to some work things on Thursday and Friday morning, how does that work?
Previously, we did Saturday morning site visits.
Okay.
The primary reason we've gotten away from that is that Mia, our conservation agent, has a family conflict on Saturday morning, so we moved it up. But I'm around on Saturday mornings, and we can work through that.
Okay. All right. I just didn't want to, I miss not be able to participate fully if that's the days that you guys.
Well, also not everybody goes on the site walks, although it's beneficial to be there and see what's going on. But Mia's done a great job in terms of bringing us into the 21st century. So we actually have video, and we're throwing pictures up on the walls and so forth.
Okay. Good.
Very good.
Excellent.
I'm always looking for a chance to get out in the field. So I would.
Well, that all sounds great. We will be deliberating at the end of our meeting this evening. So if you are selected, we would ask that you get sworn in by the town clerk prior to your first meeting with this commission. Do you have any other questions for us or for Greg?
No, that was my one. The regular meetings are fine. And again, I have a pretty good understanding of the responsibilities on the commission. So I think I'm pretty well set in that regard.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And thank you for your other work with the town. We very much appreciate that. We need good volunteers, that's for sure.
I appreciate
thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
All right. We'll see you later.
Okay. Take
Bye.
care.
Thanks.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye. How are we doing time-wise? We're behind about 10 minutes. Okay.
A few minutes behind schedule. So next up is Ashley Davies. I'll admit her right away.
Okay. Thank you, John. Hi, Ashley.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you? Thank you for being here. I'm Leslie Rattan, Board of Selectmen. Tim Kalin is also with the Board of Selectmen. And we have Greg Young, who is the chair of the Conservation Commission.
We know each other. How are you, Ashley?
Hi, good, how are you? For some reason, I can only see one person at a time. Is that normal?
Are you on your phone or are you on a,
I'm not.
oh, usually that's a phone thing.
Huh. Yeah, I thought so too.
There's an
Oh,
icon,
well.
you can go, there's an icon where you can hit like a grid and it'll get everybody.
I know, I usually have that, but I don't see it. That's okay.
If you
That's
click on speaker view in the top right-hand corner,
You know what? I joined from my browser, so that's probably why I don't have any like
Um,
options. It's okay. I see you all when you talk, so
Right,
it's all
okay,
right.
that sounds good. The first thing we'd like to do is have Greg explain the role of the Conservation Commission and the function of it and meetings and responsibilities and so forth.
Actually, you're probably aware of a lot of what I'm going to say, but I'll go through it to make sure we're covered.
Perfect.
You know, the scope really is enforcement of the Wetland Protection Act. That's the primary responsibility, which includes various bodies of water in town, wetlands, wet meadows, streams, lakes, ponds, rivers, all to some extent. We have jurisdictional responsibility over all those. The meetings are on Monday nights at this point in time, third Monday of the month. We may be moving that down the road based on some scheduling with the selectmen. And then we have site visits. We try and site walk. Right now, it's Thursday or Friday mornings prior to the meeting date. So that's out there. The current mix we have on the commission, I think, is pretty good. We've got an attorney who's an environmental and land specialist. We've got a civil engineer who brings that to the table. That's pretty important. We've got an environmental construction manager, which is good. And we have several citizens like myself that just have an interest and some experience in environmental items. The commission, I think right now, at least since I've been on it, which is probably 10 years, I think, or more, strikes a pretty good balance between wetland protection enforcement and a landowner's rights to develop. We try and find a middle ground if at all possible there. And that it's the give and take sometimes on both sides there. But I think over the years, we've done a pretty good job of doing that. So that in a nutshell is what we do.
Great.
Could you explain also the site walk situation and how that could vary a little bit depending on the availability of members of the commission?
Yeah. Right now we're doing site walks on Thursday or Fridays, primarily because the conservation agent has a conflict on Saturday mornings. We used to do them Saturday mornings. But we can move that around a bit. I'm available on the weekends too. So we could do 2 different site walks if the timing had to be worked on that one, which we've done in the past too. Some of the commissioners just do their own thing. They just go out. Other times we try and get a group together.
So you'd like to get everyone out to the site before the meeting?
Ideally, and honestly, I think of the commissioners, there's only 2 or 3 that are very active that make all the visits. But Mia has brought us into the 21st century, and we now have, lots of video and pictures, and we can put it up on the wall in the conference room. So even if somebody doesn't get to a site visit, they can see what we saw.
Okay. Great.
So Ashley, as you probably would guess, people who are watching this live streaming aren't able to see your application and all the information about you. So we'd like you to share as much of that as you can with us, and so the audience can see what you're all about, what your background is, and what you think you have to lend to this commission.
Sure. So my education background is that I am a lawyer. I went to law school, passed the bar, and focused on environmental and real estate law while I was in law school. So my interest began there. Shortly thereafter, I interned with the Department of Environmental Protection, the state of Massachusetts, and got some exposure to Wetlands Protection Act there and enforcements there. and then entered the land trust world, where I have been for the last 10 years, doing land conservation in this region, 36 towns, including Northborough. And then just a few months ago, I switched jobs and I'm now working for the state of Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources, doing agricultural lands preservation. So I come to the Conservation Commission from that side, knowing that I haven't done a lot of Wetlands Protection Act work, but have a very strong interest in it and kind of peripheral knowledge of the work. I have attended countless Conservation Commission meetings in various towns over the years, and would love to be more involved in the Conservation Commission in our town. I hadn't been able to do that up until now, mainly because I did have so many night meetings in other municipalities and wasn't able to commit. And now would like to do that and lend my experience and expertise to our Conservation Commission, but also know that there's a lot that I need to learn and am ready to take a number of courses through the Mass Association of Conservation Commissions to do that.
Great summary. Thank you very much. You have a lot on your resume. I can see that.
I would also think too that your experience with various state agencies, at least as you said, you don't have a lot of experience with the wetland conservation, but you're not coming into that and you won't be overwhelmed by the language of it, I guess. It won't be something that you have any concern about getting up to speed on.
Right. I think I have a lot of peripheral knowledge and have been exposed to it a lot, but need to get down and read the regs and learn the nitty gritty of how the Conservation Commission performs site visits and votes on issues. So, but yes.
Okay. Do you have any other questions of Greg or vice versa?
I don't think so. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly, yes, that is so very true. Sometimes that's a good thing.
Right?
Oh, sure.
As I get older, I find that's a better place to be sometimes.
Yes, it is.
I'm gonna plead ignorance. I don't know.
Yeah.
I forget.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So the meetings and such work for you, and as Greg had explained to another applicant, they can go anywhere from an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours. Typically meet what you said once a month, maybe twice a month if necessary, but
Necessary.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the open space committee in town, so I know that, but there's usually not a conflict. I think it's infrequent, and so I would obviously be at the Conservation Commission if there was a conflict. But the open space committee is pretty flexible, and we kind of work around everyone with scheduling. So.
Great. Thank you. We will be deliberating at the end of this interview meeting. And if you are selected, we would ask that you get sworn in by the town clerk prior to the next meeting that you'd be attending. So other than that, I don't think there are any other questions. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you applying. We need good volunteers. We have lots of great committees and commissions, so we really appreciate that very, very much.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for volunteering for the open space committee too. That's, like Leslie said, it's important to have knowledgeable people serving on committees around town. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Ashley. We appreciate it.
All right.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so next was supposed to be John Wickstead, and he was here in the waiting room, but he's gone now.
Oh, he is? Should we give a
Yes.
couple of minutes, but in case he kind of, something glitched on him? Can we wait a couple of minutes? We're not too far behind.
No. And,
I would feel badly if he tried to get in and we were already on to the next committee.
I mean, he was in the waiting room for about 10 minutes or so. And the Norm is here. And the other two interviewees are here as well.
Want me to call him?
I'm gonna call him right now.
Diane's trying to call him right
Okay, so we'll just wait here for a second.
now. Okay.
Is this live, this discussion we're having right now?
Yes.
It is, okay, I wasn't sure like what the transitional thing was between.
Yeah, no. Once we started, we go right to the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody gets a fair shake here.
Hi, Jeff, this is Diane at Northborough. Yes, we're running a little behind. We're just ready to bring you in. Do you want to sign back in? Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, apparently he's going to sign back in.
Great.
This would be a great opportunity to bring those three in quick and say, we're running about 10 minutes. It's weird that you can't talk to them.
Diane just had an idea to bring the next three on quickly, just to say we're running a little bit late and to hang tight. You think that's a good idea?
Well, how far behind are we really? 6:40?
6:40.
We're not, I mean,
10 minutes.
yeah. I mean, that's fine if you think that'd be.
You want to bring them all in?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna step out. Are you gonna put me into the waiting room or?
Yeah, well, not yet, just in case John comes back. Hello, we are just running about 10-15 minutes late. So we just wanted to bring you in to tell you that we see you in the waiting room. And maybe about 10-15 minutes, we'll start the interview process again.
You're on mute, Millie.
Okay, so I'm going to put you back into the waiting room for a few minutes.
Okay, I will hang tight.
We'll be with you shortly.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we still now don't have John yet.
The other thing we could do is give him another 1 minute and then just proceed with the Historic District Commission and then come back to him at the end if he's, because we're not deliberating now anyway about the Conservation Commission, so we could do that, have him, tag on to the end.
Although it looks like one of them just took off.
Yeah, and that's fine.
John, when I'm put into the penalty box, whatever we want to call it, do I still have to log back in when I come back in, or am I just?
No, you can just, right, you'll be off the screen. We can't hear you, we can't see you, you can't hear us, you can't see us. But, and then as soon as we're ready, we'll get you right back in.
Yeah, fine.
So yeah, I don't think you have to do anything.
I can do that. I can do nothing.
Well, what do you think? Tim, what do you think? Should we just,
Well, let's move on, and if he comes in, then we'll bring him back in.
yeah, we'll just tag him on to the end. He may have to wait for 15 minutes,
Yeah.
possibly, but
Brian's not there now.
Well, but Millie is, should we do Millie first? Oh, all right, so there's
All right,
Brian.
all right, so Brian's
Okay.
back, so bring them in, I would think.
Okay. So Greg, you want to go to the waiting room now?
Sure.
Okay.
thank you, Greg.
All right, see you in a bit.
Okay.
No.
Oh, no, that's right.
So I'm going to admit Norm first
Okay.
and make sure he's all set up.
Okay.
That's stuff we can hear.
Norm, you there?
All right, you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Hi, Norm.
Yes.
And see if I can get the video to work. Cannot start the video. All right. Don't know why. So can we do this without seeing me?
So down the bottom left, Norm, where it says start and stop video, that's not working for you?
Yeah, click on that and it says, okay, let's try it again. It says fail to start the video camera. Please select another video camera in settings.
Oh, okay.
Video settings. I'll do one quick check. I don't know why it's not automatic, but I know if I go down this path, it'll get worse. So we'll deal with just my voice. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
I'm about finding 1,000 on this stuff. I'm always get in trouble.
Oh, yeah, can he see?
So we're waiting for Millie and Brian.
Yeah, Brian was here and now he dropped off. Should we go with Millie first?
We're gonna start with Millie.
Okay. So I'm going to admit her right now.
Okay. Sounds good. Hi, Millie, if you want to, oh, good. Thank you.
I'm in.
Hi, Millie.
Hi,
Hey, how
Millie.
are you?
Nice to see you. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Nice.
Leslie Ratan, as you know, Board of Selectmen, and Tim Kalen, Board of Selectmen. Norm Corbin is here in speech only, no video. There's some issues with his camera, but we will be able to hear him.
Great.
Hi, Millie.
Hey, Norm.
So the first thing we'd like to do, first of all, is welcome you to the interviews. And second of all, the next thing we'd like to do is have Norm go through what the Historic District Commission does and what meetings look like and how long they are and when you meet and so forth and so on. So maybe much of this you sound like you know already, but let's go through this anyway for the audience, people who are watching this live stream.
Sure.
Okay, sure. I hope this is no surprises to you, Millie. So
I hope there aren't any either.
we're actually two commissions that have been merged. So for the Historic District Commission, we're responsible to work with the property owners in the historic district to keep their facades that face the street, to keep the historical architecture of what's facing the street. So that's the real responsibility of the District Commission. The Historical Commission is broader than that. It's, I guess if anything, it's really to educate the town on what we have for local history. And, you know, we've done a lot with markers and a variety of other things. We also get involved with a demolition delay if there's a demolition request for a building over 100 years old.
Yep.
Those are the core things. We meet, we usually meet on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock once a month, the third Wednesday of the month. That's what our target is. We meet by video. And that's pretty much it. Now, as you know, Millie's been on the committee almost a year, right, Millie? Close to that. So she's been very involved with everything we've done the past year.
Yeah, I think it's actually been a little over a year, I feel like, but doesn't matter.
I think it has been.
Yeah.
I think it's been, yeah. So Millie, if you could talk about your role as an alternate and what you enjoy about this particular commission, what you feel your strengths are in terms of what you can offer the commission. moving forward as a regular member?
Yeah, actually, I have been, as an alternate, certainly engaged in listening to hearing what people are bringing forth, some of the projects they've been working on with the plaques, some of the application process for the community preservation funding and things like that. And really had a good chance, I think, to look at what everybody's roles are, whether you're secretary or treasurer, what norms were the chair, or different roles. And I think as a person who has a pretty significant interest in some of the buildings of the town and the historical nature of the town, I think I can bring a perspective that is hopefully something that kind of blends what the town has been, but also moving it forward to where we'd like to see things go, with keeping the preservation as a big part of it.
Mhm, mhm. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background? Because obviously the audience can't see your application, and I think it's nice if you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do in town here.
Yeah, basically I've been in town 25 now, 25, 30 years, close to. And been basically started getting involved maybe 3 or 4 years ago with some of the committees in the town. I have a number of older buildings in the town. One is a business, one's a residence, and one I live in myself. So, and just really knowing what some of the older families, the older properties, and some of the history of the town itself has really lent me to become much more interested in some of the significance of the town.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That sounds great. Do you have any questions of us or of Norm? Tim, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I don't. The only thing is, the only question I would have is if you have the time available, because you're also on the planning board, but since you've already been an alternate, that's a moot point, I guess.
Yeah. I did kind of know that when I started to get into these two different committees, what I was getting into for time. And, I honestly like doing the research for the historical committee things. It's a lot of fun. So I find that to be a little bit more, I might spend too much time doing that sometimes.
No, that's not true. We don't want to discourage that.
No, I know. It's fascinating, actually.
Mm-hmm. Better that than the other way around. So I think that's terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, right from the get-go, Millie's been involved. She's tuned in really quickly to what we're trying to do, and she's got the get it gene. Right away, she knew what our goals were, what we drive for. She's been an active participant, so I'm very happy to have her come back onto the board as a full voting member.
Great.
Wonderful. That's great to hear. Okay, so I think we're running a little bit behind, so we're going to interview Brian, and then we're going to be deliberating at the end of our interview session here, and you would be notified if you are indeed going to be a regular member of that commission.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we thank you very much for volunteering in town and putting a lot of time into it. We appreciate it. We need.
Thank you.
Thank you, Millie.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
Millie.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Millie. Take care.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, I think we got Brian Swanson ready, so I'll let him right in.
Sounds good.
Thanks, John.
Hi, Brian.
He's
Hey,
muted.
Brian, can you hear us? We unmute your. You're still on mute.
All right.
There
How's
you
that?
are.
Okay.
Much better.
Perfect. Thank you. Hi, Brian. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. I'm Leslie Rattan, Board of Selectmen. This is Tim Kalen, Board of Selectmen. I'd like to welcome you to the interview this evening for the Historic District Commission. And you already serve as an alternate. So I know you know a lot of this, but I'd like to have Norm explain what the purpose of this particular commission is and what you do and when you meet and so forth.
Okay.
All right, I am only voice only. I could not get my camera to work, but I'm here, believe me. So we're actually, we have two commissions that have merged together. We have the Historic District Commission and the Historical Commission that have been merged. And they both have different functions. So the Historic District Commission, we're responsible to work with the owners of properties in the Historic District so that they keep the architectural features that you can see from the street and as a historic, they can preserve them in a historical way. The Historical Commission is a broader scope. Really, the biggest part of what we've been doing is educating the town of some of the historic sites that we have. And we also get, we look for funding from the Community Preservation Act so we can support some of the signs we put up and some of the other projects that we have. Like just this past town meeting, we have a project now that'll put the Howard Street Cemetery on the National Register. So that's in a lump sum of what we kind of do. But it's been, as you know, Brian's been in as an has been in as an alternate for quite some time. So he kind of has the gist of it, but in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Brian, how long have you been an alternate?
I think it's about 9 months.
Okay. Okay. And the meeting schedule is suitable for you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That has worked out. Okay. That sounds great. If you could tell us about yourself, as you know, probably the audience can't see your application and so forth. So we'd like it if you could talk a little bit about your background and yourself and what you have to lend to this commission as a regular member.
I've lived in town for 37 years or something like that, and I live in an old home. Been involved with it, the Historical Society to some extent over the years. I think I have a pretty good understanding of what's involved with maintaining and trying to keep an old home functioning and historically accurate. And I'm familiar with the town and, you know, a lot of the buildings that are to be considered part of the historic. Also a mechanical engineer by training and profession. So some understanding of the engineering aspects of things. I think that's about it.
Are there any particular goals that you would have for this committee? If you continue to serve on there?
Well, I'm sorry to see some of the older houses being torn down so they can put 4 houses on the one lot with where the historical house used to be. I'm not exactly sure what can be done about that, but I'd like to certainly consider it.
So you're happy with the direction that this commission is taking, and you enjoy what they're all about. Okay. Do you have any questions of Tim or me or Norm?
No, I think I understand what it's about.
Okay. Okay. We will be, Tim, is there anything else you can think of? Or?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Well, let me just say that, I'm live. Let me just say that, with 9 months or so that Brian's been with us, he's also one of these participants that's been active right from the get-go. And it's really, I appreciate that. He's got the recognition right away of what we're trying to do, and he has the appreciation of what we're trying to save old homes. And it's good to see someone with that interest as part of the committee.
We do appreciate that very much, and we appreciate you serving, Brian. We will be deliberating right after this. We have actually the Conservation Commission interviewees, as well as both you and Millie. So we will be deliberating at the end of this. And if you are indeed chosen to be a regular member, you would need to be sworn in by the town clerk prior to the next meeting. So,
Okay.
but we appreciate your time. Thank you very much for giving us some time this evening and providing us information about yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving. We appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, so Greg and Jack are both here. Norm, are you leaving us?
I can. I think I'm done, right?
Yep, I think you are.
All right. Well, nice seeing everybody, but
Do we need to deliberate on?
Deliberate though. Yeah.
you want to wrap this up with deliberation?
Yes.
Okay. What?
Can I come in here a minute? Hey guys, can you hear me?
Oh yes, we just
Right.
don't recognize you with the mask.
I don't know how much deliberation, because we have 2 openings. They're currently alternate members. Do you feel like you still want Norm to stay on and you can all discuss after the Concom?
Well, actually, I don't know if Norm would necessarily need to, because we obviously know how he feels about both of these candidates going
Right.
from alternate to regular member. So, I'm assuming that he still feels the same after the interview. So Norm doesn't have to remain on if he doesn't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel the same. If there's any doubts.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you being here, Norm. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Oh,
Thank
no
you,
problem.
Norm.
I'll figure out how get my video to work at some point. Thanks. Have a good night.
Nice to hear your voice. It worked out fine.
Give me a call
Okay.
tomorrow, Norm, and I can help you out if you want.
All right, John. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you,
Good
Norm.
night.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, are we ready for Greg to come back?
Yes.
Yes, please.
All right, Greg, you are back. And Jack is here, so I'm going to admit him right away.
Hi,
Hi,
Jack.
Jack, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Not too well.
A little bit of wind noise.
Sorry, let me go on inside. How's that better?
Perfect for me.
Yes. Okay. Now I recognize you. You're no longer Pineapple, you're Jack.
My son was fooling around with my phone. This is the second meeting I logged on to today as Pineapple.
I would have said hello earlier, but I wasn't sure.
When I told him this only encourages him. You know, he's only going to do it again now.
Exactly. He knows he got a big laugh out of us. That will happen again, I can guarantee you.
The selectmen think Mr. Pineapple is volunteering for something.
Well, thank you very much for being here. We wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to interview with us this evening.
Sure.
So I'm Leslie Rattan, Board of Selectmen. This is Tim Kalin, Board of Selectmen. And we have Greg Young here, who's the chair of the Conservation Commission. So if Greg, if you wouldn't mind explaining what your commission does and explain the meeting schedule and so forth as well.
Well, Jack, the scope of the Conservation Commission is really it's to implement the Wetland Protection Act, which really is enforcement of various regulations around bodies of water in the town. Wetlands, rivers, streams, lakes, ponds, included in that. And those are all jurisdictional for us. The commission meets right now once a month on a Monday night. right? It's the third Monday in the month right now. We are talking about moving that date possibly to the middle of the week based on some coordination with selectmen schedules coming up and Zoom meeting capabilities and so forth. We also have site visits prior to the meetings. So if we meet on, for instance, we're meeting the 21st in September, we would have site visits right now, Thursday or Friday prior to that, in the morning. We could also be flexible and maybe do a couple of site visits, one being on a Saturday morning too, if folks have a hard time making it. Site visit participation is not mandatory, but certainly encouraged. We do have, when we go on site visits, our agent, our conservation agent, takes pictures, and we have diagrams and pictures that we put up on the walls so that commissioners that don't make the visits for whatever reason can see what we saw. But being there is more important, I think, than doing that, especially if you're new. That's the current mix of the commission is pretty good in my view. We have an attorney who specializes in conservation matters and land use. We have a civil engineer who deals with the regulations around the Wetland Protection Act all the time. And we have an environmental contractor who then also gets involved in that, in the aspect of doing that kind of work for us. Then we have some citizens like myself and a couple others that have an interest in conservation, and we've gone through and taken some courses and so forth to become technically proficient on that side. Since I've been on the commission, which is 10 years, I think, plus or minus, the commission, I think, has had a pretty good balance. They've been able to take a look at what the regulations say and what the site shows us, and we look at that against what the landowner has for their property rights to do something on that site. And we try and find a balance. And for the most part, I think we've done that, which is, I think, is a good thing on that side.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Great.
Jack, if you could explain a little bit about yourself. Obviously, the people in the audience who are viewing this live stream can't see your application. So if you could give us a little bit about your background and what your interests are and what you feel you can lend to this commission.
Yeah, well, I've lived in Northborough since I guess we moved in 2004. And, my kids have gone to school in Northborough, and now they're getting a little older. I've got 2 in college now, so I have a little more time on my hands to volunteer for stuff like this. I've been an assistant scoutmaster with Troop 101 in Northborough now for a few years. My son's involved in the troop, and I'm sure you'll know, Greg, you have a lot of scouts coming through
We do.
who need various, projects. They're looking for service projects in town. They're looking for, building, bridges across streams and trails. All of our kids need conservation hours. So it's kind of a big deal for us in the troop. And, we really don't have anybody on the board who sort of, works with us on a regular basis. We just kind of send the kids off to it. So I think that would be kind of helpful. Background wise, I currently work as an orthopedic surgeon down at Beth Israel in Boston, but prior to going back to medical school, I was an infantry officer in the Army for a number of years. And I would have, I sort of consider myself an outdoorsman and have been for many years. So sort of have just a general interest in conservation.
Great background. Do you have any questions about anything that this commission does? Anything in particular you're wondering about?
So how often do you have your site visits? Are they once a month, or are they more often than that, or less often than that? Are they usually on Saturdays, or usually on, early, first thing in the morning, or what? I just want to make sure that, I can commit to making those kind of meetings.
Yeah, sure. Well, previously we did them on Saturday mornings, but our current conservation agent has a family conflict on Saturday morning. So for the last, I guess Mia's been around for maybe 2 years now, we've moved them to Thursday or Friday morning sometime that week. A little flexible, and we may end up going back to Saturday morning. We may end up doing 2, one with Mia, one without Mia. So we're trying to be flexible on that. Some commissioners do them on their own. They go out themselves and take a look. And as you get more experience, I think, become a little more confident, you know what you're looking for, that can happen too. We just don't want we don't want a trail of commissioners walking through people's yards all the time.
Well, and I imagine when you first get going on something like this, you have to be committed to going to those meetings and making sure that you're sort of learning the lay of the land and how the business runs and that sort of thing. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And there is a lot of technical training available too, on things. So it's out there on the web to use, and it's a standard course that you can take.
Yeah, I mean, my background originally, prior going back to medical school was mechanical engineering. So, it would be sort of fun to see the technical aspects of this as well.
Mhm. Absolutely. So is there anything else that we can answer for you? Anything else you're wondering about?
How long is the general term for this?
3 years,
Three,
3-year term.
3 or
Three.
two?
Okay.
Yep. And the meeting schedule would work for you. It sounds like you're busy.
Yeah, well, the evening meetings are not going to be a real problem. And fortunately, I have good partners. The Saturday morning option is going to be better for me. That's very easy to arrange. The Thursday or Friday, as long as it's not every Thursday or every Friday, that would, I can make those kind of arrangements as well.
Mhm, mhm.
The only time we have impromptu meetings and we have violations, and that's usually me or myself go out there, and we've had quite a few of those lately, but that's another whole story. So,
Well, I have to say with COVID, the commute to, I commute to Boston, and with COVID, the commute's been nothing. So
yeah,
hopefully it will stay that way.
One positive.
right. We'll get ready for downtown construction in Northborough.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. Trying to think if there's anything else we need to ask you. I think that's good. Is there anything else you would like to tell us about yourself? Personal attributes that you feel would be a good fit for the commission?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really have any experience with town government, so I can't really, claim to be an expert volunteer on any of those things. I just sort of have a general interest in conservation, and I think, it's a worthwhile effort. And
Yeah, we think so. Good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of our scouts have been through. I've been to a couple of your meetings, Greg, with my son at various points when he needed, to either go to town government meetings or when he needed to get, conservation times or whatever. So we've been to a couple of those meetings, and you guys are always great with the kids when they show up. So thank you for that.
A lot of good work's been done by Eagle Scouts in this town. So
Well, and not even the
Oh,
Eagle
yes.
Scouts, when they were Cub Scouts, they had to come through. And I remember sitting in a meeting there with like 3 or 4 Cub Scouts, and you guys were so nice to them. So thank you for supporting scouting in the town. I really appreciate that.
The other thing I want to do is put in a little plug for the Board of Selectmen too. When you have Eagle Scouts who have some of these unbelievable projects, we would love it if they came before us and could explain just 5 minutes, just say, this is my project, this is what it took to get to this point. We found it's a little bit more effective in terms of getting the word out because our meetings are live streamed. Especially when we were meeting in person, it was fun to have some scouts there who wanted to talk about their project, explain a little bit, and then it goes out over video. So if they ever have an interest in doing that, we'd love that.
Well, we'll get them down. And, there have been some scouts like, I remember Kevin Tucker recently built an access pathway down to, the Assabet River out on 135. And, they've had some great projects. I will say one of the challenges that we face is finding good projects for the scouts. So it's helpful to have some connections in town for people who would be able to say like, hey, we need this or we need that. This might be a good project for you guys to think about. We've approached the DPW on some projects and they've, got us on some project. One of our scouts a couple of years ago rebuilt a number of picnic tables that wound up at 135. And
Yes.
so, it's always helpful to have somebody in town who's sort of connected and knows what needs to get done that would be appropriate for these kids to do and can kind of point them in the right direction because they're always looking for projects.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, they're all terrific though. Ultimately, they end up turning out really well. So we appreciate that. So we're going to deliberate now on there are 4 candidates for the 1 vacancy on the Conservation Commission. And if you are selected, we would ask that you get sworn in by the town clerk prior to the first meeting. So
Great.
That's it. We appreciate you willingness to come in and interview with us and taking the time.
Yeah, thank you, Jack.
Jack,
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks again for all that you do, Greg. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, that was the last of them.
Yes, I'm glad that we were able to do that. I
Okay.
don't like it when someone's, is unable to come in. That would have been bad.
I just want to make sure you know this is iced tea, okay?
I am glad you mentioned that.
I want to put that in the record here. So that's okay.
That's what they all say.
Yeah. So it sounds like as far as, are we entering the deliberations phase? I know, Di, is there anything else that we need to be doing right now?
No.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So it sounds like there's no question in terms of the two interviewees for the Historic District Commission. Both Brian Swanson and Millie are highly recommended by Norm and currently serve as alternates anyway. Both of them have been doing that for about a year, so it doesn't sound like that's an issue at all.
No, not at all. I think that they'll both be great additions.
Okay. Tim, would you like to make a motion to that effect?
Yeah, make a motion to recommend for appointment to the Historic District Commission, Brian Swanson and Millie Milton.
I second that. Yes, Di.
Can I just have that motion amended to recommend appointment at the September 14th Selectmen's meeting?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor of that amended motion?
Aye.
Leslie, or Tim, sorry. Aye. Leslie, aye. Okay, super. That's fantastic. Have some good volunteers on that. So now we need to enter into a deliberation about the four candidates that we just had for the Conservation Commission. Brian Belfer was first, then Daniel Clark, Ashley Davies, and then Jack Wickstead. So first of all, I think all four of them are phenomenal interviewees. They all have each one of them has a fantastic background, and they all seem very interested in the position. So I hope that whoever is not chosen applies for some of the other positions that we have open in town, because we really do need people with good backgrounds and really want to volunteer who are interested in the community. So
Yeah, I second that. They were, all four of them were very impressive.
Yes.
Very
absolutely.
nice people.
Very deep candidate pool. It was just, if they also, if they keep their interest in conservation commissions, as openings come up, we just could draw on that group and.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I guess I hate to defer to Greg, and I don't want to sound like I'm deferring, but because you basically know the makeup. I guess what I'm getting at is, the makeup of your current commission in terms of backgrounds. You explain you have an attorney and so forth and so on. Is there anyone here that you feel would fit the bill in terms of rounding out the commission?
Well, I think that Dan Clark probably would bring a lot to the board with his background, his experience. We've had a touch to deal with him already, where when we were talking about cleaning Bartlett Pond, trying to get CPA money for Bartlett Pond, we were flailing around, and Dan came to a meeting and actually gave us some guidance and a direction. We ended up broadening our scope, going for 3 or 5 year plans instead of piecemealing it over time. He explained why that made sense and helped. I think he helped me put the presentation together, and we received $120,000 that we're going to spread out over the next 4 or 5 years, which is going to save us certainly some time and hopefully save some of the town ponds, mostly Bartlett. Bartlett's in trouble. So that was a good experience. I worked with Ashley on open space, very, very bright, very sharp. Brian has been very helpful with trails work, working with me on work on Edmund Hill and helping rectify some of the issues we had up on there, and he's active now on our Mount Pisgah venture. So I think any of those folks would be good. Jack is the new one in the group. Certainly, he'd have the greatest learning curve. But he certainly seems willing. He's bright enough, I'm sure. He'd certainly be willing to do that. So that's positive. But I think that of those four, I think that Dan would come in and would maybe give us a little bit more immediacy.
Yeah, I kind of feel like everything else aside, to me, that is one of the main things we need to look at is the makeup of your commission and what you feel you need in order to continue to do a good job and make the best decisions with the best knowledge base. And again, all four of those individuals are fantastic. Again, I'm going to list their names again: Brian Belford, Daniel Clark, Ashley Davies, Jack Wickstead. I just want those names out there because I appreciate the fact that they're willing to volunteer and they would all be suitable. So again, that aside, I get back to that point of what you feel you need. This commission is a little bit more technical in a lot of ways than some of the other committees that we have.
Yep.
So that's why I hate to use the word defer, but I feel it's important for you to have the tools that you need in your toolbox to do a good job. So
Yeah,
that's why I did that.
I appreciate that, Leslie. And I'm looking at what everybody brings to the table, and I wish there was more than one opening.
I do too.
Or we could expand the commission. We don't want to go that way. So yeah, I think that Dan does give us that piece. Especially that we don't really have anybody who's a watershed expert. Occasionally we get flood zone issues, and we have and Mia knows a little bit about everything across the board, but we don't have a deep diver there. So that would certainly be something that would help out too.
Okay. Tim,
I thought with Daniel and Ashley, having experience with some of the, even though it may not be directly involved in some of the issues that you face, just being exposed to the state, the processes at the state, regulations at the state, the learning curve and understanding what they're looking at, and then being able to understand that, I think would be, a huge benefit to the commission.
I think so too. I know that the state environmental group is a little bit of disarray. They've had a lot of cuts over the years, and they're all working, extra hours. So having somebody who might have some inside contacts might help, or be able to help Mia get to where she gets, bypass any sort of roadblocks. So that's a good point, though. Sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Any other thoughts or considerations? Anything else we should be considering here for this particular commission? Yeah, I'm looking back at I just made some quick notes. Obviously, we have all the applications and so forth, but without, reading through them, I just made some quick notes about each of them. But getting back to Dan, I just had written down work for the state, water supply and protection, professional resource management, works on open space. Previously, open space, right? PhD in environmental area. Again, they all have fortes, but his did seem to maybe stand out a little bit in terms of what your commission might need.
Yeah, I mean, there's no slam dunks, but I think that almost in a can't lose situation, but I think that he may be a tick up on that.
Right.
What we didn't ask the candidates, which is really the idea with more, is that when I interviewed for the commission, who the interviewer asked me how I dealt with Hatfield-McCoy issues. And I said, what are you talking about? Well, I know exactly what he's talking about now, because,
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. Wow. It's just so much with these four. I just hope that they all decide to do something. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, the good news is that, you know, Ashley and Dan are still on open space, right?
Yes, yes.
And Ashley is very strong in there with her land management pieces of it. Brian is very active with the trails group.
And open space too.
And open space, right? So I mean, those folks, and you know, Jack with the Boy Scouts and his exposure to conservation. So I don't think we're going to lose any of those folks.
True.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they're all committed to conservation in town, so.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was nice of Brian to say too, that he was making sure he submitted his application just to make sure that there was a good applicant. But Brian does a lot of great work in town, so.
He does. And you folks see, and if you see all the interviews, I mean, this is unusual.
Yeah.
To have the type of candidates we had here tonight. So.
Yeah, it's fun, a little flabbergasted at this point. Makes you also realize the depth of the backgrounds of a lot of people in town. You know, neat to see.
Yeah.
So do we have any further discussion? Is there ready for any kind of a motion, would you say, or?
No, I think, I mean, I'm in agreement that, you know, just from the interview and Dan's background, PhD in environmental conservatism, it's, you know, it's tough because I think Ashley would be tremendous too, but I just think that Dan brings just he runs Quabbin. I mean, that's no small feat, and to bring that sort of expertise and know that they're just the management aspect of that, and you know, that story about him coming in and helping with Bartlett and finding $120,000. I mean, that's the kind of experience that I'm referring to. You know, working with the state, working through the bureaucracy, understanding how the processes work, understanding where the money comes from, understanding how to overcome challenges and roadblocks that you may see. And you know, he works in this. It may not be, you know, one-to-one, but it's not, you know, apples to cars. You know, it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think they'd all be great tools in the toolbox for Greg, but I think that Dan just ekes it out just a little bit in terms of what exactly he does, and then the story that Greg mentioned too about the 120K. I think that's awesome. All these individuals, I'm sure, would do a great job, but I think he just has a little bit more that would add to the depth of your commission, Greg. So I'm in agreement with that. So do you want to make a motion, Tim?
Make a motion that at the September 14th Board of Selectmen meeting, that we recommend for appointment to the Conservation Commission, Daniel Clark.
Yeah, I second that motion. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
And Leslie? Aye. So, okay, I congratulate all of those individuals, and we thank everybody very much for agreeing to apply and to be interviewed like this in open session on live stream. And thank you, Greg, for coming in and explaining that 4 times over what you do.
No worries. I think I was consistent, wasn't I? So
yes, you were. Thank you. And John said,
Thank you, Greg.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
John, thank you very much for your help with all this.
No,
John,
you're very welcome.
MIS GIS department. So we appreciate everything you did, and Di Wackel as well for all your assistance and minutes and setting all this up. We appreciate it.
Leslie,
Thank
you
you,
just need to
John.
make a
Thank you,
motion
Di.
to adjourn.
I make a motion that the interview committee adjourn.
Okay, I second that. All those in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Leslie? Aye. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, yep, thank you very much.
We'll see you
Thank
soon.
you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.